afterwards, or you can listen back afterwards as well. So also to let you know, after tonight's webinar, if you can make sure that you pop in the chat that you were here, and I'll download the report as well for who've been here. I will send out the slides, so don't worry if you're trying to kind of see on a small screen or the text is too small. Information will be sent around later. So I did send out a message to quite a few of you, just to say as well for tonight, just to give you a bit of thinking time. If you've run big weekends before, which is now called Start Archery Week, what would be your 2 top tips? So maybe just for you to be thinking in the background. It might not necessarily be about helping someone to shoot, but something around how to run a really good event, either the preparation, the day, or after the day. You might want to share with people later. You will have that opportunity. Don't have to, that's only optional. But if you want to contribute, then please do, because we're here to share ideas tonight. We're here to learn from one another. And just to give you an idea of what we're going to go through tonight, there's just going to be the 3 sections to this evening: feedback from previous years, a sense to get an idea of the bigger picture of what you've been part of if you've run them before, top tips from event organisers, and that could include yourself as well, and then a little look towards the 2022 plans and support from Archery GB that's going to be in place. A lot more of that will come when people sign up their events later in the spring as we get closer to the May dates. So Start Archery Week will be the 14th to the 22nd of May, which probably you all know and have tattooed on you somewhere so that you know those dates, or may have received a fridge magnet to remind you of the dates from us if you've been involved in an event before or got one through another source. But that's what we're going to cover this evening. So, the big weekend began in 2012 with the London Games, and since then an estimated over 45,000 people have been introduced to archery at events, which is incredible. So I wanted to start with a big well done and thank you for all your hard work. Having been at events around the country, I know the blood, sweat and tears that goes into it, and I know that you all work really hard, not just at big weekend events either, but in particular for this particular event where we all join together and do it at the same time. Thank you for your efforts. I actually think that more than 45,000 people have taken part, but one of the areas in which we need your help is that data collection part. We really need to know exactly how many people come to your events and have a go. And that is because it helps us evaluate the effectiveness of the event. It also helps us in terms of promotion, local, regional and national promotion. The more people involved, the more clubs involved, the more promotion we can get you. Hopefully that will catch people's attention. But also it helps us in ways like we can attract more sponsors if we know exactly how many people are taking part. Also, if there are trends, are there more men than women or women than men? Are there more juniors or seniors? Or, you know, it helps us to break down the data like that. So that's what we'd really like to ask you for registration purposes this year, to make sure everybody that attends is recorded. That would really help us out. Last year, the big weekend was extended to include the big week, which gave clubs more opportunities of dates to run an event. Also allowed more schools to get involved, uniformed organisations that meet in the week, or businesses, community groups, activity centres. So a lot more events were able to be held last year in the week. Plus, if a club had something at the weekend, it didn't interfere with that. Start Archery was launched in July last summer, 2021, and that website and support is aimed at those that are just getting into archery for the very first time. So on there you've got the club finder, but also the Find an Experience map. And that is where all your events that you register and then opt into the open active part appear. So just a reminder to make sure all of your events, so demos, taster sessions, have-a-goes, beginners courses, are always registered, please. And then if you want them to go public, you opt into the open active bit. And obviously for Start Archery Week, that means all of the events will be opted in to make sure that they're all showing on that event finder map. You don't have to tick that for all your courses, but you do have to register all of your courses, please. So that is the person that's got access for your club records that would be doing that registering under Have a Go and course registration. So if that's not you, you can breathe a sigh of relief, but please make sure that your club secretary is registering all your courses. So this week, looking ahead, we've got Start Archery Week, as I mentioned, 14th to the 22nd of May. That includes 2 weekends intentionally to give you greater flexibility, but also that opportunity to do things in the week. And this year we celebrate being 10 years old, can you believe it, with a 10th year birthday party feel. So we really want to add that celebration feel to all that we're doing, especially after a challenging 2 summers now. And we're inviting all clubs to take part. We think that's possible because of all the different ways in which you can take part. You could run a big club social, get everyone together, invite your family and friends, but mainly focus on your members. Or you could run the traditional kind of big open day focused on the community. Or you could invite a set group of people to come to you, or you could go to them. There's just so many different things that you could do in Start Archery Week. So we will go on. So we're going to start with some feedback. Hopefully gives us the opportunity to really learn from previous years. Sport England have been along to events and have sampled what it's like to be a complete beginner at some of your clubs. And the advantage of that is they are sort of friends. They're on our side already. They are in the sporting sector. They know what they're looking for, and they don't know archery. So from that perspective, it is like being a complete beginner, and they're able to offer us that feedback. I mean, I wonder what it would be like at your club to just turn up for the very first time. I don't know if you've ever put yourself in the shoes of a beginner, maybe someone that's a bit nervous, don't know where to park, don't know how to find the club, don't know what to bring or what to wear. But this is the kind of feedback that they've given us in general. Before we go there, this is just the overview. So from the last few years there, we can see the number of events being planned by clubs and outside organisations has been steadily increasing, which has been great to see. Last year, obviously, there was a bit of a blip with estimated participants number going down. Mainly, the big one was COVID for that. But we did find, percentage-wise, more of those people were signing up to beginners courses last year. So perhaps what we saw was people not wanting to be in big crowds, understandable, but they were serious about getting into archery. And hopefully at the club level, you've seen that translate into members as well. So that's been a good snapshot to see. But I'd like to see those numbers 10 times as big this year as we celebrate the 10th year anniversary. So what would it be like to visit your club for the very first time? So from the Sport England visits, we can learn some things. So what they've done is they've given us a rating, which kind of goes through the colour scale. So at the top of the screen, the lower scores are red, moving up through orange, yellow, up until the green scores, which are the good scores at the top end. And overall, their archery experiences have come out at 85%, that top rating. So they've split that down into 4 sections. Pre-visit experience, which then has many sections below it, the experience of the day, and the post-visit experience, and then an overall experience of archery GB. So we're going to look at those 4 different elements of this rating. And overall what we learn is you are brilliant at delivering archery. No surprise there. The actual archery part, people I really love it, and the scores are really high. Where we're weaker is the support before the event and the follow-up after the event. So they're the areas we can learn from. And in particular, we can break that down even further. So we'll have a look at those, each one of those 4 elements now, starting with the pre-visit experience. So this might not be as relevant for a Start Archery Week event because you might not know who's coming, but lots of Start Archery events are more like taster sessions where people are signed up in advance, or they contact you to ask a few questions. So that could be the beginning of their pre-event experience. overall there at the top, you might be able to see, it's small, I know, but it's 75% was our rating for pre-event experience. And there are loads of different elements how they've calculated that score, but I've picked out the 4 lowest ones for us to focus on as areas to improve. The first one was, how easy was it to find information, for example, at a facility, through social media, or even through a telephone call, and we scored only 70% on that one. So there is that desire for people to know a bit more about what they're coming to than perhaps they're getting at the moment. Secondly, how easy was it to find safeguarding policies and procedures and information about safeguarding or for adults at risk? And you can imagine, if you're a parent or bringing someone, an adult at risk, that will be really important for you and something they'll be looking for on your website. Can they find that information on your website? So we scored 60% overall there, so definite room for improvement there. Thirdly, if you were advised that someone would get back to you, did that actually happen? And again, 60%, only 60% of the time did someone come back to them and give them that information, so room for improvement. And finally, were you able to find a session that delivers your chosen national governing body within reasonable access of your location or at reasonable times? So is it kind of close by to where you want to be, or have you got to travel miles to get there? And is it at a reasonable time? So is it a time that they could attend? Again, 70%. So they're the 4 lowest scores on pre-event experience. Moving on to the actual day. The score, as we've said before, is 92%. The actual archery bit, the clubs, I know clubs excel at delivering archery, and I've been at some cracking big weekend events, and the archery's been fantastic. But again, I've just picked out the 3 lowest scores, areas to improve. Was the first point of contact welcoming, helpful and friendly? So it could be a receptionist, a car park attendant or an instructor. Overall, 78% was the score. So it's still kind of high, but maybe there's that area could be even more welcoming. Was there someone there to welcome them, I guess, is the first one, particularly when we're thinking about a Start Archery Week event. Secondly, was the facility easily accessible by appropriate means of transport? For example, public transport for inner city, or by a car, bike or on foot. 68% was the rating there. So for Start Archery Week, if your club is difficult to find, maybe it'd be an opportunity to run an event somewhere else where it's easier to find you, or on a public transport route, or in a park where there's greater footfall, or at a school, or somewhere where you can still make the range secure, but you've already got a captive audience. And thirdly, payment process. Again, this may not be relevant for you on a Start Archery Week event because you may not be charging, but maybe for other courses, other events that your club puts on. Was it easy to register and pay for your chosen activity, including a receipt and any other relevant documentation? So something around booking there. And the last area around the event itself was the post-visit experience. The rating was 84%, so it's reasonably high, but there were these 2 areas within a great long list that showed us room for improvement, and they were 36%. This first one was really quite low. Was contact made after you attended, or were you invited to or given any opportunity to engage outside of the sessions? So this is your follow-up call, email, contact. 36% was the score there, so follow-up was definitely needed, and that's reflected in the second one. Did your post-visit experience meet your expectations? Again, that's quite low at only 69%. So that overall gives us an impression of Archery GB, which was 85%. So the sport as a whole got a rating of 85, and one of the reasons for that, the lowest score, was 70%. How clearly outlined were the steps that you would need to take if you were interested in joining a club on a permanent basis? So for Start Archery Week events, how easy is it for someone to sign up to a beginner's course on the day? Can they get the date and the details they need? Can you give them the price? Can they even pay there and then on the day and get themselves signed into something? Or can you give them the information for when that's going to happen? Or point them to a local club that is taking on beginners courses quicker than your club, if your club's not going to get around to those for a little while. But I'd encourage you, if you're running beginners courses this year, if you can plan one in straight after your Start Archery week, that would help you with your follow-up. The joy about the Start Archery week map is people can look for other courses. Oh, you could point them to other courses. So if your club can't offer that, you've got options. So that was helpful from Sport England. Nick, you have your hand raised. Would you like to come in at that point?
Just the club finder at the minute doesn't have very much information on there about clubs at all. Is that going to change?
So the club finder wouldn't be where people would be looking for an event. Mainly that's going to be on the find an experience map. So what it does when you register your events and you opt in to Open Active, it gives you the option of putting in who you want the contact person to be and your contact details, and that's how they get in touch with you. Yeah. Club Finder itself would probably lead someone to look for your website for more information if they just want to know about your club. So that's perhaps an opportunity to check your website is up to date, that it doesn't say that you're still closed due to COVID or any of those things, that it's nice and up to date, because I know that you've had to do a lot of work in keeping that updated with all the COVID regulations. Perhaps that would be time for the summer to take those off again and welcome people back. Thanks, Nick. That was a good question. Was there any other questions about the Sport England feedback there? You're welcome to raise a hand if you want to come on.
Just one more thing about some of that. If you've got beginners course information on your website on a separate page, you can set up a QR code, and it's dead simple to do, and it's free, but it'll only do one page. So you can put a QR code for all the information about your beginners course. When you scan it, it'll take you directly to that page.
Yeah. Yep. What do you mean to hand out on the day, Nick?
You can either hand them out as little printed cards, or just have a little A4 poster size.
Yeah.
And when people ask about the beginners course, you just go and scan that.
Absolutely.
And you get all the information and have all that information set out on one page.
Yeah.
Of your website.
Correct. Yeah. Feel free to do that if your club would appreciate it that way. Lots of clubs do sign up for beginners in lots of different ways, so that's great. Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Eileen?
Yeah, thanks, Helen. Just out of interest, the post visit that was mentioned referred, I think, to contacting people by email. Is that in relation to a have a go, or is that perhaps after a taster session? Because we don't take too many details. We just ask which part of the the county they're from and where they found out about the event. So we don't take details at that time.
Yeah, so that is something that people are sort of telling us that they would like. They would like that follow-up information. If they had a good time, where could they next try archery? Where could they continue their archery journey? They may not have said to you on the day that they want to take a beginner's course, but may have gone home and thought, I'd really like to take that up. Some people are a little bit shy about coming and asking. So if we're making that first contact and saying, this is information, this is how you'd sign up, then they've got all that at their fingertips then.
We do give out an information sheet that tells them all about it, and beginners courses, and with details of the our secretary and how to contact her and things like that. So I suppose we leave it to them rather than us contact. Yeah, we leave it to them to contact us rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I suppose my encouragement is the easier we can make it for people, the better. So if we're leaving, I appreciate you've already kind of given people an option there, Eileen. I think it would be great to be proactive, to be giving people that that follow-up email, the support email. How did you, even on the day, how did you find that? Would you be interested in doing more? Have you got any questions? Can I tell you something about our club? There's lots more I think we can interact with people over if we are the one being proactive.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
Good point raised. Thanks, Eileen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Declan, you've come on as well. Would you like to come in at that point?
Hi, yeah, sorry about that. A few connection issues and broadband. Anyway, I'm on now. Hi, everybody. I'm Declan Ross Thomas from Thames Valley Archers down just outside Tavistock. And we were fortunate enough last year to run the big weekend. It was our first one.
Come
and
to
we were
from your event in a minute, Declan.
Sorry?
We're going to come on to some feedback from your event in a minute.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah, no.
But in terms of the comment just made about engaging with people, one of the things we did was we actually left a book as well for them to leave their contact details if they wished us to follow up with them. And through discussing with them, we put that around the refreshment area. So it was a social area for being able to engage and chat. And we kept a couple of archers from the club there, ready to answer questions, engage with them as well, and sort of encourage them to find out more and let them leave their details if they wanted us to follow up.
Yeah, brilliant. Great. Thanks for that, Declan. That's really good. It's just really interesting that that's what people are telling us that that they want to know. Yeah, and that's a really good question about GDPR. I would be coming on to it a bit later, but this year we will be asking you to register every person that attends on a separate registration form. So you wouldn't have to have those details visible to everyone. And if it's a family group, they can register once for the whole of the family. But we would be asking every person to be registered. They can opt in or out of further information, but we do keep them registered. So that's a really good question there. Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to move on now to some feedback from the events that happened last year. And Christie is one of our young ambassadors, actually, who actually won Young Ambassador of the Year in September, just gone. But he actually ran their big weekend event for his club. He headed that up at age 14. So we asked him for his feedback on how that went. He couldn't be here tonight because he is busy, but he's put together his feedback for us to listen to now. So just excuse me a moment whilst I check out the sound, and then we will watch that together.
Hello everybody, I'm Aaron and welcome to my presentation on planning a Start Archery event. This used to be called Big Weekend and this presentation will tell you everything about what I did last year with lots of help from the club members, of course, to plan, market, deliver and evaluate the event. So
I think I've lost the sound, so just let me see if I can restart that for us. Apologies, everyone. Were you getting sound at the beginning? Yes. Okay, great. We'll restart it then. I think that will work.
Hello everybody, I'm Aaron and welcome to my presentation. Firstly, you'll need to have a good plan in place. What are you hoping to achieve? Don't be afraid to link your event to your club development plan. In our event, I wanted to ensure it had 3 participant goals: having a fun introduction to archery, having a relaxing atmosphere, and giving people a chance to have a go for the first time, or maybe try the sport again. But the club had goals too. Firstly, make more people aware of Lonsdale Archers, get club members all together and pitching in, and encouraging those who had good experience with us to join us by taking the next step into a beginner course. For us, one key aim was to get more girls and more juniors in general taking part. So our planning involved lots of things. Firstly, we needed to get the event registered online, have a risk assessment done, and then I was given the task of thinking about the activities and the layout. One thing we wanted to do was ensure people stayed around. So yes, shooting is great, but tempt them to stick around. Buy tea and cake, enter the raffle, chat to members, watch demonstrations of flatbow. That way you are more likely to get people to go beyond the event and take more interest. One way we find it helps is to have the event on the same day and overlapping with our club shoot. That way people get to see members and have a chance to see what the club looks and feels like. Some events are free, but we've never found a small charge is an issue for people. £2 is not much to have fun. Me and some other juniors ran a clickers shooting area. So while people were waiting or after they'd had a go at the real thing, they could still have fun with the rubber sucker arrows and the targets away from the main shooting area. Don't forget to set up early. You don't want to be running around like a headless chicken. Better to be able to put your feet up, have a brew, and know everything is ready to roll. You'll deliver the event better too that way. Social media is really important. We asked members to use their own networks to spread the word, and even bring a friend or work colleague too. That worked well. It guarantees a bit of atmosphere if you've got a certain number definitely turning up on top of the ones you don't know about. Use traditional ways to promote too, whatever it takes. And don't forget to tweet or Facebook Live. You might get more that way. So this is how my event went. Registration. Have a volunteer there. Here is me and Sam. Get bunting, flags and balloons up. Create a festival feel. As soon as you can, get people their tabs and braces on and get them shooting. If it goes quiet, let them stay on for a bit longer to shoot. What's the rush? Put on a demo or two for people to watch once their turn is over. Get members to chat. Give people information about have-a-go days or beginner courses and how to join the club. People love popping balloons, so make it as creative as you can and keep pushing the refreshments. I loved the cakes our volunteers made and we raised over £100 from sales. Some more images and ideas. It's a great deed to not only get more people interested in archery, but for bonding club members. We always have a member taking loads of photos, with permission of course, as well as a big fun photo of all of us afterwards. Finally, make sure you evaluate your event, any way you prefer. Even note down a few comments in a book afterwards. It all helps you make things better next time. Why not write up some for the Archery GB magazine? We did it one year. Just look at what you can do. We sometimes get over 40 people at these events at our village-based club in rural North Yorkshire, although we've just moved a few miles to South Cumbria. In 2021, we weren't as busy, possibly due to COVID reasons, but even though we had 23 people there, almost half did a beginner course, and 10 of these joined us. This meant we got 3 new girl members, 3 new ladies, 2 men and 2 more boys. Wow. It could be a lower turnout gave us more time to persuade and get them to take the next step into archery. So that's my presentation. Hopefully you found it useful.
So I just want to say a big thank you to Erin and to Mark and all from Lonsdale for putting that together for us. It was brilliant to hear from their club, and I think there are some from the club on tonight. I understand that a different group of people have been tasked with organising the event this year, so I'll be really looking forward to hearing back how that goes, and that includes people who aren't archers from the club as well, which is a really good idea. You don't need to be an archer to be asked to get involved, especially on such a fun open day type event. But many thanks to Aaron for putting that together for us. I appreciate his time. And I asked for some feedback from other people from different events as well. I appreciate lots of you have fed back from your events in the past. We do have that opportunity coming up in a minute. But just some top tips from Longmynd Archers in Shropshire. They pulled out their top 3. Meet and greet people as soon as they arrive. Be at the entrance to your venue. Put people at ease, direct them over to registration, and make sure your outgoing and happy members are on that job. Refreshments, that's coming through loud and clear, particularly in a year when we're celebrating 10 years birthday. I think cake is obligatory. So refreshments, it gives an opportunity for people to stay longer and to have that friendly chat over some tea and cake, possibly. To add some interest in, however way you can, appropriate for your club. What would people be interested in? At Longmynd, they have a video of international shoots running on a loop, so people can pop in the clubhouse and see archery at top level. They have a mannequin to show off their club clothing, and they have loads of information about their club there as well. So anything that you could do, you might be out and about and you haven't got electricity, but what else could you do at your event to keep people's interest? Declan, you might want to chip in here, but some top tips from Tamar Valley. Consider the weather. So putting up shelters proved invaluable when the heavens opened on one of the days of Declan's event last year. Cover your shooting line, cover your refreshments, cover spectators area as well. Refreshments, again, that theme coming through thick and fast, really makes the difference somewhere to socialise with someone, and just to, while the queues are growing, somewhere to shelter. If it's sunny, somewhere to get out of the sun as well. So Declan ran his event Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Declan, but I understood from what you said to me that the Friday was really useful, although you weren't busy, as a day to get everything set up so you're ready to go when the weekend hits, and that you plan to do that again. And lastly, to have lots of variety, so different things that people can have a go at, that keep them rotating through the experiences and get them going through different aspects of archery, really, having a bit of fun. Declan, as you're on the call tonight, if you want to chip in anything, then I'll hand over to you. Oh, we're just on mute at the moment. You don't have to. Here he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Right, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's our first event. We hadn't done one before, so lots of trepidation. We're a new club as well, but we're fortunate that we shoot on our own grounds, and I own a campsite as well, so it adds a little bit of bystanders. So bunting outside the front, the start archery, was a great way of getting people to start to ask questions. And obviously the advertising. Setting up the stall at the start so people passed through it where we could collect their details, and having the Arrows program undercover meant the youngsters got really involved, and in fact so did some of the adults as well, because it was great fun before progressing. And we used that as a feeder system into the main field, where we then did 3 or 4 events. As Aaron had said, we did demonstrations with different bow types and different archers taking goes, and had Junior having a go as well. And apart from shooting with training bows, we also shot with flus as well, so we could do emulated clout shoots into dustbins. And in principle, we also did, which was really, everyone enjoyed it, was archery golf as well. So that worked spectacularly. It only had to be a par 2, par 3. Didn't have to be an awful lot, but everyone enjoyed that, getting up, moving around, and being able to shoot. And we were very good, actually. So unfortunately, the weather, despite even cover, was against us on one of the days. We found the Friday to be a little bit of a non-event, because dads and mums are coming home, picking up the kids from school. You know, it's takeaway night, for example. They don't want to be doing much, resting after the week. Saturday was the key day, and that was the day when it got full on. And Sunday started to work, but the heavens opened, and that just kept people away rather than even coming into it. So weather was a big part in what was taking place. But it was great fun. It was all set up. We had to make our own T-shirts last year because we weren't rich enough to afford our own. This year, we've got our own T-shirts, so we can do more on that as well. That will be fun. And we're looking to try to emulate and add a few other things into the mix as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love the sound of all the games, and I think that really keeps people's interest. So yeah, thank you for feeding that back, Declan.
Okay.
Marcus, would you like to come on?
Yeah, hi. Hello and well met. My name's Marcus. I'm a member of Monklands Archery Club in the west of Scotland. I see that one of the bigger challenges that a lot of the clubs have had is the terms of managing attendees, collecting details, doing it in a GDPR safe method. We actually used a website called Eventbrite. Now, Eventbrite allows you to set up the event. You can allocate the amount of tickets, they're free. People subsequently submit their own personal details. You can then put your own response, which could give you, like in our instance, Monklands Archery Club email for a follow-up contact. And you can also print an attendee list for the day as well, which gives you their number. So when people come to the site at the time of the event, then they can come with a barcode that you can scan, or a number, reference number, that you can then sign off. And we use that to help us manage the quantity of people, because we have a limited event. I think we could take something like 26 people on the one day.
Right.
Yeah, so it helped us manage that. It helped us manage the communications to the new individuals. It helped us collect information, which was GDPR safe. It helped us give us a response in terms of communication as well. As a result of the event, which was really successful, we have run one training course, which in December gave us 10 new participants and 5 new members, and we're about to start our next training course next Saturday, which is for another 10 individuals. So it's been very successful, a lot of follow-up. It was good to get going.
Thank you, Marcus. So yeah, that's really good. It's helpful.
No problem.
And,
hope it helps someone.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. Good feedback. Apologies, I think I missed your hand earlier, Graham Hadfield. Did you want to come in? If not, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I will as soon as I can get that microphone to switch on.
You're on.
Right, I'm on. Right, yeah. It's actually something that we've done. I think it's since I've been at the club now, we've done three of those and 2 of the Team GB days. And what we've done is we've utilised what we do with the Team GB days into the have a go weekends, and that is we have people in a tent or a gazebo meeting and greeting, very much as what's been said here. But what we do is we try and get a list of people. Obviously, we have to be very, very careful with GDPR when you're talking about children. And what we do is follow up afterwards, or I send an email out to everybody or contact them, asking them if they'd like to what they thought about the weekend, what they thought about their experience, and a list of the beginners courses. And they are told that if they come along within 3 months, not a problem, but anything over 3 months, all their details are then shredded, and we don't keep them. That keeps us well in within the GDPR guidelines of AGB and our own club's GDPR. So we don't keep any details after 3 months. If they join, those details go on to our membership secretary. And so far, we have had 95% take up on our beginners courses, because we have changed the format of the beginners courses as well, in as much as it's a lot more enjoyable. Rather than getting them to shoot just arrows, they learn a little bit about the history of toxophilia. Our new coach coordinator is now making it far more interesting. A lot of people like to shoot, and we have to look at whether or not they want to shoot as a fun archer, or whether they come along and they could be potential Olympians. So therefore, you have to have this feedback. You've got to start asking them where they want to go with their archery career once you've got them. Interact with them on the beginner's day, on the have a go days. The have a go days that we've done, the big weekends, have been less, should I say, less attended than the big weekends, because it's the big, anti-GB days are actually formatted nationally in a big way. This is what we need to do within our own community, is to take that big media splash that the I'm Team GB Day gets, and we have to grab hold of that kind of media, like getting hold of the radio stations, getting hold of the I use Team Toyota again for the I'm Big weekend. They bring a car along, they advertise that on their website. If you can get the local community involved in it, you're going to get a far better group. We had over 200 at our Team GB Day.
Absolutely.
And from that we get a follow-up and inquiries coming from the community without us actually going out there. If we went out there a lot more now, we'd probably be drowned with them, to be quite honest. Since last year, we've doubled our membership. This time last year, we had half what we've got now.
There you go.
It's purely because of getting into the community and using the media.
Yeah, that's good. I think you're right, Graham. It's about those, the size of the promotion really makes a difference, which is why I'm really asking every club to get involved this year, so that strength in numbers, we can together get the media's attention. But it does rely on you guys putting the hard work in. I do appreciate that. So thank you. Thanks, Graham.
And the other thing is, Ellen, is I would advise everybody to get linked onto the Start Archery website, because a lot of clubs aren't on that website at all. They're relying on the club finder. Whereas the Start Archery website, you can actually get on there, because it's been promoted a lot more than AGB. And if people know about Start Archery, they will actually go on there and they can find you a lot quicker.
Do you mean your have a go events and beginner courses?
Yeah.
Right. On the Experience Finder. You're very welcome. Well, every event, as I said earlier, needs to be registered, but it's up to you how many of those you opt into that public Find an Experience map. You may have a course that's closed, or you don't want it on there because it's for a targeted group of people, or it's full. So not everyone wants to put all their courses on there, but that's really good. And great to hear a bit of shooting in the background and what sounded like chickens, to be honest. So that was interesting. But thank you, Graham. And we'll go across to Denise. Thanks for waiting, Denise.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about people coming along to this event. What about the chance customer, the one that just walks by, sees you've got something going on and walks onto the field and says, "Can I have a go?" Yeah.
No, absolutely. Open days are open to anybody dropping in. Just some people like to run it that it's pre-booking only, or pre-booking for the majority of the people plus the odd drop-in.
So we don't have to be all pre-booked?
No, you can choose to be. If you're running, say, a group for the local scouts, then that would be, and that could be part of your Start Archery Week events. Or I think, for example, Graham's club registered lots of events last week on multiple different days. So you could have various different events that you register all of them as part of Start Archery Week. We will promote whatever you give us. So yeah, you can run it your way. You might choose to make it your focus on your club members and have a big shoot with a have a go on the side and a barbecue afterwards, just to get that kind of birthday party feel. It will still be advertised as an open event. You might get the odd 1 or 2 people drop in and say, could I have a go? But that's entirely up to you. Yeah, you find your way of running your Start Archery Week event the way you want.
Okay,
it's a really good question. Thanks for highlighting that, Denise. And Mandy, and then we'll go back and have a little bit more feedback. Over to you, Mandy.
Hello. Hi everybody, I'm from Newark Castle Archers in little old Newark. I'm just going to come from a little bit of a different angle. I think on here we've heard some absolutely amazing ideas, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh wow, as a club we can't do that. We can't do a meet and greet, we can't offer refreshments, we can't offer coverage if it rains, because we are in a field which is a rugby pitch. We have a container which is hidden behind a row of bushes. We have to commute probably about 100 yards to actually set our field up. My point of this is, anyone out there who's in a similar situation to me, don't let any of this faze you, because there are ways to be able to develop your club and do it the way that your club can do it. We don't offer refreshments because we can't. We have no power. We don't have anything. We do have access to toilet facilities if we need them, thankfully, because we're a rugby club. But my Start Archery weekend last weekend, I did over 2 or 3 days, and I did it with a home education group that I invited along, and it was probably about 20 people, and we got the bunting was hung over the bushes because we don't have anywhere to put it. We had a little picnic table to be able to have the siding in sheets and stuff like that. But since that Start Archery weekend, without any refreshments, without any facilities, without any coverage if the weather's rain or sunshine, our little club has managed to double our numbers. And even now we are getting people coming through every single week communicating with us. And we're not a big club, and we don't have all this technology. We don't have a particularly great website because we've got no one at the moment to sort it out. So for me, it's about, again, whatever you have at your club, whatever means you've got, you can still do this. Even if you only get 10 people turn up, those 10 people potentially, like us, will turn into members of your club. I think it's absolutely fantastic, some of you who have got the wonderful facilities that you've got, and I'm very jealous, very envious, but I want to come down to people like me and my club who have nothing. We don't have power, we don't have any of facilities that you've got. We have a field that we hire per hour at a time, so our Start Archery will only be for 2 hours. That's it, that's all we can have. That's all we can afford, but you can still make an absolutely huge event of it, and we have done that. And like Graham has said, I was on Nottingham Radio Knots last week promoting Start Archery in the county, and that's just by the fact that I'm a bit of a show girl. I do like to get out there and be noticed and speak to anybody and everybody, which is quite an important key. So my point here is, if there's anyone on this call who's on a smaller club who suddenly goes, well, we don't have that, just look at what you do have, do it in a smaller scale, do pen and paper if you have to, and keep it with one person, because I promise you that if you've got that meet and greet sense, even with 10 people, the chances are those 10 people will connect with your club and they'll go and tell their 10 friends and vice versa. So that's my little bit. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, really good point. That, you know, we want to build that flexibility in, that people do it suitable to your club. So yeah, I'm sure whatever you can do, you can make an impact. Mandy, I think there could be some cakes that you put on another little picnic table somewhere. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, that whatever you've got, there's a way. Or maybe you say, for this one day, we're going to hire somewhere else so that you can have some electricity, or you can do something a little bit different. And I think someone's popped in the chat there about, you know, maybe getting a grant for something, which, yeah, is an option as well. But back to the feedback from a few other clubs around the country last year. So where did we leave off? So we had Longmynd, and we went on to Tamar Valley. So next up, we've got some feedback from Bowman of Pendle and Salisbury, and I think I saw Di on the call. So if there's anyone from the club on, you're welcome to come on in a moment. But some of the feedback from their event, their team, so they recruited around about 20 club members as volunteers, and a key point here, ask people into the roles that suit them best. You all know what I mean by that. People have different strengths and abilities. They didn't close their event to club members, but they have a big enough field that they're able to have a go, plus a range where the club members were able to shoot alongside. They've obviously got that no man's land in between, so they could have two separate ranges. And Aaron mentioned that on his presentation as well, that they get to see a little bit of club shooting. They run something different if you can. So at this event, they ran a competition where everyone that shot 3 arrows in the gold was entered into a prize draw, and the winner got a free place on a beginner's course. Brilliant idea. Promotion was key. They also got onto the local radio, onto a Saturday morning show, but their website, Facebook page and Twitter also played a big role. Increasingly, your social media is the biggest way you're going to be able to promote your events. And impact-wise, their beginner's course they advertised on the day was pretty much full from the event itself, plus the rest of their year's courses were fully booked, and they still have a long waiting list. And then they found that take-up from those courses was over 75%, which is a brilliant high percentage. But also an extra impact from the day, they were able to run a beginner's course for a group of 12 homeschoolers from the Asian community near where they live, and who they subsequently joined the club and shoot on a fortnightly basis for 2 hours at a time. So just brilliant feedback. Did I see Di? Yeah,
yeah,
hi.
I did. Yeah, I'm here.
Hi
Can
there.
you hear me okay?
We can, yeah. Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, one of the difficulties we found last year, of course, was the COVID restrictions, because we had an awful lot of layout to do to organise people social distancing throughout. So we had to organise in, out ways, no crossing over of people and so on. And the 20 volunteers we had were all busy all day. Some came and went during the day, but it's the first time we've run an event where we didn't put on any refreshments at all, but it was mainly we didn't have anybody free to actually do that. We had everybody was fully busy, parking car, guiding people to park the cars, coaches on the line, everything. But as I said, as mentioned in that, everybody was allocated a job they were good at.
Yeah,
it worked very, very well.
And it'd be fantastic to go again this year without those sort of COVID.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah. We were fortunate with the local radio, because the presenter was in the process of running round all the Olympic sports, and she happened to contact us about archery just the week before the event. So she came down the day before. She had a go. She did a recording, which went out later it went out the following week, in actual fact. But we understand it was plugged on the radio on that morning, the morning of the event. But none of us were able to hear it.
Too busy. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Di. I'm just going to move quickly on to the next one and then come back to Nick, if that's okay, Nick. So Derbyshire Archery Club also fed back, which is great. So their sort of top tips were that they ran a simple have a go session, but they didn't have any need to pre-book whatsoever. And they, you know, the passion of their club volunteers is they love sharing the hobby that they love with new people, which I'm sure you have in your clubs as well. But their top tip, I guess, for them was their promotion. They found that they were able to link up with a local council, and that was the most effective way that they invested in promotion before their event last year, because it opened up a new partnership with the local council. They were able to get a small grant from the council that paid for them to make a banner to advertise their event, so people could see where to come in off the road. And they connected with the social media officer from the local council, and later also had a visit from the mayor, etc. So that proved like invaluable, that one link through their big weekend event. And besides the shooting on the day, with lots of really positive experiences of archery, the visitors all had a chance to chat with club members and learn about the club and see different bows. That's another really good tip. Make sure, even if no one's shooting them, there's lots of different types of equipment there on the day that you can show people. And they also had the arrows kit, the Clickers arrows kits there. So that was good feedback. Nick, did you want to come in at that point?
Yeah, just on a bit on the promotion.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to think outside the box. You really have to get local. We've got a local internet radio station. It has about 5,000 listeners. So, and we've got a slot on there. And we've got a waiting list of 60 people now for our beginners courses. So we're going to advertise the event on there. And we'll get about 100 people turn up, I think.
It's fantastic, yeah.
We've got to think about stuff like that, about not just local radio, newspaper, social media. Get on the internet and have a look for local radio stations, local podcasts, anything like that you can use.
Absolutely. Local What's On pages, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. Those
even online business directories for little villages in the outlying area and stuff,
Yeah,
and sometimes have advertising pages.
That's really, it's a really good point, Nick. It's all about the promotion. Lots of you shoot in schools. Can you invite the school to advertise it for you? Or you shoot at a mixed sports club. Can you invite those other sports people to come along and have a go? Or can you do a smaller one in the week for them if you want to keep them separate? So lots of opportunities for new partnerships. Thank you, Nick. So there may be others of you who have got your two top tips. So if you want to pop them into the chat box, if you can access the chat box, then I'd invite you to put your two top tips into the chat box now. There are lots of you on the call, so we're not going to probably have time to go around to everybody tonight. But if you've got access to the chat box, it'd be a good record there of your two top tips. Declan, I will just cut to you. Did you want to
just a very quick one, just picking up on, I think the name's gone now. I think it was Nick just now was talking about local promotion. We found going to Tavistock Times and some other local rags very often, they publish them once a quarter or what's coming up in the area, etc. And they run on advertising, so they want you to pay for it. But if you actually turn around the other way and say, well, look, I don't really want to pay for it. I'm a local community group. You need features in your magazine. Why don't you write something about us in it then? And very often that's worked. We've not ended up having to pay for the advertisement, and they've actually covered it as a story.
Yeah,
you've got to look at a lot of local newspapers that cover like small towns and stuff like that. They have online sessions now, online newspapers, and sometimes that's free to advertise.
Yeah, no, that's really good. invite your local radio show host to come and have a go the week before and get you on the radio that way. You've got pre-made advertising 1 week before you go out.
Anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat box to see what you're writing. So I haven't been able to read through this. Let me just recap. Volunteers are the key. Buy a gas stove. Yeah, that's good. Cake and coffee always works. Roll out the barbecue, cook up some burgers. You can complete a food hygiene certificate online. This is a very good point. Yeah. Getting members to volunteer is the issue. It's normally the committee and coaches that run events. Yeah, that is true. You can always join up with the club down the road as well. Join forces, put one big event on between you, point people at both of your clubs. You could run one across your whole county. If there's a little group of clubs that want to get together, that's fine too. You know, think outside of the box. We filled a weekend with advertising on the Nextdoor app. Brilliant. Thanks, Grant. Yeah, that's good. See, whatever you can put it on. Involving local radio stations, raffles. Yeah, local businesses. Could offer local businesses some tasters, or you could charge them to do like a taster session, a team building session. Yeah, lots of really good ideas coming through. Keep them coming in the chat. That's brilliant. We're not probably going to be able to cover them all. Apologies if I've missed yours. So what about this year then? We'll open up the mic again at the end, but I'm just going to wrap up the presentation part of the night and then come back to you. So for this year, as we look forward to May 2022, how can you get involved? So already we have the expression of interest form open. So if you've not already let us know what you're thinking, then we would really appreciate knowing what you're thinking and being able to kind of keep in touch with you, knowing that you're hoping to run something. It doesn't commit you at this stage, because you're all from clubs, I think, on here tonight. What's going to commit you is when you register your Start Archery Week event, as shown on the bottom right of the screen, and that's where somebody there is registering a club course registration. So you can see that Start Archery Week option there, and you just are asked to give us, your approximate number. We know that you're not going to know how many are going to turn up, but give us your approximate numbers and as much detail as you can. Remember to opt in to the open active part at the end of the registration, and that then pulls through into the find an experience map on Start Archery. So lots of different ways to run it. We've covered this already. You could run a club social, mainly focused at your members, but invite some family and friends along too, or a big open day with a birthday party theme. You could go to a local fete or a carnival or a school or a business or a park. You could run a taster day, and so it's invites only. Invite everyone on your waiting list to come and have a go, keep their interest going. You could do something completely different. It's entirely up to you. But we will send out information about the detail of what we'll need to do on the day as we see people signing their club events up on the Start Archery Week registration part of a course registration there as shown on screen. So if you know schools or scouts or activity centres that also want to take part, everyone's welcome to take part of Start Archery. It's a celebration of archery. It's not just an Archery GB event, which is why it's not the Archery GB Start Archery Week. It is Start Archery, just about archery, celebrating archery, and our logo is not built into the Start Archery logo deliberately because it's not always an Archery GB club running an event. But everyone is welcome to register an archery event, provided they're keeping to the basic safety rules, and they will need to register just slightly differently. But we're going to send them a separate sign-up sheet. But for all of you guys who are from clubs, you know that you register through the portal. So everyone can get involved, as we have already kind of touched on slightly before. They could be part of a promotional team, even if they're not around on the weekend or the day that you run your event. Get involved before. They could get involved afterwards. They could be a welcomer or on the registration desk or on refreshments if you've got refreshments. They could help on the shooting line as well. They could be people floating around engaging with people, being a friendly face, running a raffle, running a quiz, giving out information about the club, or they could be involved afterwards and the follow-up. They might not even be able to make the day, but they can help with the follow-up. And only really helping on the line or doing a demonstration of archery do you need to be an archer. So you could recruit lots of extra volunteers to help out, or run a big open day combined with other sports that share your venue, and share all your volunteers out over these different roles. So I'm not going to go through the detail of this. As I say, I will send the slides around, but in preparation, the 5 key points: sign up to the expression of interest form, and then make sure you've got your event registered when you know your details. Form a team and start your planning. Involve your juniors, involve the new members. They know what it's like to be a new member. They were in that position not very long ago themselves. Connect with your community. Think about what kind of event you want to run. Ask your whole club to share with the promotion, share across their networks, and then just get contacting people really. On the day, the top 5 things to think about: put volunteers on all areas, as Di has already pointed out for us. Make sure you're chatting with everyone that comes along. So the biggest thing that you can do on the day is talk to people, get to know people. Record everyone who attends. We're going to have one registration sheet this year that incorporates permission to use photographs and video. So it's all done in the one place. Share that back to Archery GB within a week. So we're going to have a deadline of the 27th of May to share all your information back to us on an Excel spreadsheet. And we'd love to see photos and video of your event as well. And then follow up. Contact all your participants with the details. If they've given permission to Archery GB for follow up, we'll also be doing that. But really important that they've got that link with you as the club, if possible. So that takes us almost to the end of the presentation. Hopefully there'll be no scanning of temperatures this year, but we never know. We never know what's around the corner. We'll take it in our stride. There were some hands there I missed, so I'm going to come to you now if you have a hand up. Oh, Mandy, would you like to come on?
Yes, I suddenly remembered something else that we did on ours, and that was pick a local charity. A charity which is keen to the heart of your community. Last year we did Women's Aid, which is one that's close to my heart and also within our community. And when we did the Start Archery weekend, all the money that we took, we actually donated it to them, and we raised about 200 quid. And that is something, again, which shows what the sport of archery is like when you can actually quite openly, and do something for funding for another charity. And what happened there was that we actually got a few people through wanting to join the club. So
yeah,
thank
you. Yeah, and it might be that your refreshments, your quiz, your whatever you do, a raffle, could be raising money on the side if you wish. We do normally say for Start Archery Week events to try and keep your costs as low as possible. Donations is different, absolutely, if you want to run with that. But if you can make it free, ideally, most events are free. If you have to cover costs, then try and keep that just the bare minimum. This isn't a fundraising opportunity, basically. We know that you do others in the year that are fundraising opportunities, and that's great. For the Start Archery Week, we just want the world to know where they can do archery. So the more opportunities, the better. And let's get people into the sport. Yeah, that's really good, Mandy, talking about raising some extra on the side. And refreshments is a great money spinner as well, if you wanted to put a small cost on that, because they're relatively easy to provide for low cost, and you could give that to a local charity. So we will be coming out with confirmation of a series of competitions that you can all compete for this year, which I just wanted to throw in there and wake you all up. So we're hoping to put 10 competitions together because it's 10 years this year, 10th year anniversary. So they're all going to be around the theme of 10. And you might want to think about competitions or prizes that you could incorporate into your events that revolve around this 10 theme this year. We're definitely going to have some cake baking competition involved. We're just pulling all the details together. All of that will be shared with you in the next kind of 1 or 2 months as we get closer to the day. We'll also have hopefully have some exciting news about resources that we'll do a little differently this year. So do make sure that your events are signed up and we will get all that information out to you. Was there any questions from anyone that you wanted to raise? Feel free to pop a hand up and we can go through any questions. Vic, hi Vic, come on.
Hello there.
Hi.
I may have missed this at some point, Helen, in conversations that we've had, but is there a deadline for signing up? What's the latest clubs can sign up?
That's a really good idea. There will be a deadline with some of the competitions that you have to have signed up by a certain date, but we don't have those details confirmed just yet because we're waiting on the competition confirmation.
Yeah.
But as to the actual events, the earlier you sign up, the more promotion we can give your event. But we wouldn't stop you signing up a week before because we want as many opportunities to do archery as possible. But the earlier the better.
Yeah. Okay.
So you could sign up your event now if you know your details, because if your club can just register it through the course Have a Go, you can sign it up now. The expression of interest form has been open since just before Christmas, I think it was. So I know a lot of you have already done that, and that's really helpful for me to see because I can then keep in contact with you and help you with your plans. And I appreciate some of that may change, that's fine. It is just an expression of interest form, but no set deadline as such, only on the competitions.
Right.
In terms of getting back to us afterwards, the 27th of May is the deadline to have all your information back in to us, and at least one competition will be dependent on you doing that as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
Good question, thanks Vic. Marcus.
Hi again. I think this was possibly raised earlier. I'm on the Start Archery website, and if you go to find an experience, you have an option where to go to try archery for a first time. I obviously put in a Central Scotland postcode search range of 100 miles, and there's only one club comes up. How do we go about requesting an edit here for your club to be added?
Can I just check, Marcus, is that the club finder or is that the find an experience map?
It's find an experience map.
Yeah, so that actually just means that clubs haven't registered any courses coming up soon in that area.
Right, that would make sense.
Yeah, so you have the power there.
Okay, I'll have a look again once I register, okay?
Yeah, if you do find that there is an error, please do get back in touch with us and we will sort it out. But as far as I know, everything's working fine, so it just depends on courses being registered. It's a really good
problem. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Sorry.
No, thank you. No, not at all. That's good. Good point. I think that would go in a lot of areas. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a quiet time of year for beginners, we know. Yeah. So it might just be that there aren't many going on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Declan.
2 points, brief. I put it on the chat there. Will the Start Archery cards and bunting be the same that can be reused from last year, or will it be new material?
Right. Bunting, yes, absolutely the same. We're going to hopefully have some new things available this year. And we're trying to make that available in a slightly different way. So the details of that will come out to everyone that signs up to run an event later when I've got the details to confirm with you.
Okay, and the second point is there are still clubs that are not necessarily shooting. And I think to the lady earlier on who said she was a small club without, was it Mandy, I think it was, who raised it being a small club, etc. We've reached out to some other local clubs because I've already asked them, are they going to be doing the Start Archery? And they haven't decided yet, and they possibly won't do it. So we've reached out to them and said, come and use our facilities, come and join, wear your club shirts. We'll act as a community for the archery clubs that can't participate. So we aggregate more numbers, and we found people who've come to us, they may be passing by, but they don't come from the area. So
Yeah.
we tell them how to find where it is. So by bringing in other clubs, we're not parochial about getting people to join our club. We're actually trying to get people to take archery. So getting other clubs to come up and be part of the event if they can't do it themselves, and wear their own club colours, add some variety, spice, and shows there are more clubs out there.
Absolutely, that's brilliant, Declan. Love it. You love your approach there. And the good thing about Start Archery will obviously mean people will take it home and look for the club or look for a beginner's course near them. So as long as people are getting into the sport, that's working. That's brilliant. You can take Start Archery into anywhere that you run have-a-goes outside of Start Archery week as well. If you go to a local attraction, or if you're invited to the local summer fair, you can point people to Start Archery there as well, and it will mean that people are pointed to that one website where they can go and find a beginner's course near them. So that will work all over the country. We will have some posters. We're just finalising those. Again, we'll have those editable so that you can make them your own, and it will have a QR code on there that takes people to the Start Archery page, but it'll also have a space for you to upload your location, your map, your details, and they'll be in different sizes. They're going to be just Start Archery posters, so you could run a Start Archery event outside of the Start Archery week as well and still use the same poster, or you could take it into a local school. You could do all sorts with them. So they are being put together at the moment. The logo as well is available to you. We'd love you to use the birthday party logo, because that's the year that we're in this celebration year. So we'll have that available to you, and giveaway resources. I just need to sit on the exact details of how you can get hold of that, but got some exciting news downstream for you all about that. Was there any other queries? We'll hopefully have some focus events again this year. It's been great working with a few focus events around the country, being able to help out at those and promote those in greater detail. So another reason to sign up nice and early, because we might choose your event as a focus event, and we'll be looking for where there's links with good local media and trying to get you as much coverage as possible. Caroline. Hi, Caroline. Did you want to come up?
Yes, a quick question. I was just wondering, after the event last year, you sent out, it was 2 volunteer badges. Will there be an option to get more this year? Because I personally, even though we are a very small group of people, I'd like to give each one of our volunteers a badge.
That's a lovely idea. I'm just not quite sure yet about what resources there will be, but we do have some. We do have a plan for resources and making them available that you can order, and have greater flexibility about your choices about what you order through online.
I mean, we would be perfectly happy to purchase volunteer badges, because it's an acknowledgement that they help out, and they don't just help out once, they usually help out all the time.
Yeah, I love that idea. I would imagine so, yes, but we're just waiting for the final details on that, Caroline.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you for raising that. It's good. And it might be that you as clubs, you might be able to thank your volunteers somehow afterwards. There may be a way of getting people together, or another appropriate way to recognise what people do when they give their time on the day, or a meal out, or a discount, or sometimes people actually just want to be recognised and have a thank you. So yeah, I'm sure you'll find the right way to thank your volunteers. Okay, so unless there are other questions, we will probably wrap up around about there. I will always be able to answer questions on email as well, so feel free to drop me a line at helen.smedley@archerygb.org if there's something you think about in the middle of the night tonight. That's fine, or after today. If you need any help signing up, then you can always let our membership team know if you need any help using the portal, etc. As I said earlier, if you weren't here right at the beginning of the night, if you weren't signed up in advance of attending this evening, if you could put you were present in the chat box, if you've got access to that, I will know that you're here and can send out follow-up information to you. And just before you go, I would love to ask you all, if you wouldn't mind, clicking on a link to give us feedback about the webinar tonight and how we can continue to improve those which we ask on every webinar. So I'll put that in the chat box in a moment. Was there any final questions from anybody? I'm going to stop recording as well.